In this one, Ice Crystal Arrow build guide. Let's talk about starter skill boards, zodiacs, endgame setups, and more. Before getting into the video, a few notes. In the guide, there are both guides for physical and for cold element. Instead of saying which one is better, I would rather explain the difference. For physical, we want to do critical build or maximize build, as earth energies doesn't break the build. On the cold element, we want to focus on maximized build, as the negative effect of the cold energy reduces the critical chance. That means critical build is really hard to do. Playing without the extract earth energy or cold energy link rune is also a bad choice, as it gives us a lot of damage and utility. So basically because of that, we are kind of pushed into doing one or another build. In the description, you're going to find a lot of extra information regarding this build. But now, let's get into the build guide. For a starter skill board, physical convert critical, we want to have on Ice Crystal Arrow Shadow Archer. This is the best one. You can get this from a rare selection chest. Convert physical damage also comes from the rare selection chest. Split in here is for multi-target. Extract earth energies. Additional physical damage is important, as it gives flat damage, and flat damage early is big power spike. Confidence in here is for attack speed. Also, if you still lack attack speed, you can switch split to quick attack. Marksman is attack enhance, linked with increased duration and time acceleration. Bulwark of protection is defense enhance, linked with the same link runes, increased duration and time acceleration. Shadow of provocation in here is to provide armor amplification mainly. It's linked with shadow power, lingering shout, hushed shout, and buff activation on hit, so it will proc automatically. Trick shot roll is movement abilities linked with disarm. For attack seal, we are looking at seal of critical chance. This is the best one to have. For defense seal, we can use seal of dodge or any defensive seal that you have, like elemental, chaos resist, physical dampening, elemental dampening. All of those are gonna work. Illusion arrow in here is as placeholder. I linked it with lower armor for more single target damage. For zodiacs, the stats themselves doesn't matter. You only want to have as many as to equip your items and skill runes, so there is no default way to go around those. They're gonna depend on your gear. I'm leaving those as they are. For the zodiacs themselves, we go for this. We want to pick up Strong Strike. We are looking for as much physical damage right now, so Tyrant of Nature. As we are projectile build, we want to have projectile damage. We can't go for the Gold Hunter. It's a HP dampening, and losing HP this early in the game is a bad idea. We need 7 more points to unlock its specialization. It unlocks at 22 points, so we want to pick up Physical Distortion. This is really important. And the specialization we're gonna go for is Darkness. There is no other choices basically. This one is really nice. We want to pick up HP Absorb and convert mana to solve our mana issues. And go into Acceleration. At the start of the game, we only can spend 7 points in here. But when you finish the campaign and do the green questline in Saluto, we're gonna be able to spend 2 extra points. But right now, I'm gonna keep like this. Now we go forward. We want to pick up Elaborate Attack for the critical build. Rainbow Bridge. We also want to pick up Hands Quicker Than Light. With that, we want to go for strike damage, which is sweep. We don't care about weapon range, but this is just 6% strike damage amplification, which is a lot. We have 44 points. At 45 points, we unlock a second specialization. We want to pick up HP on every attack hit, or mana on every attack hit if you have mana issues. I'm gonna default to this. 45 points, second specialization. In this one, by default, we go like this. There is no question marks in here. Same situation. We need to finish the green questline in Saluto to unlock 2 extra points. With that, we go for more physical damage. We also want to pick up Fang in here for some projectile damage jump. That unlocks 8 trait, and in here we want to start with lightning damage, as additional lightning damage plus physical distortion is going to enable us to apply shock effect, and shock effect is mainly damage increase to this build. we need to spend a few more points. We can go and do that on the physical damage and power of nature. With that, we have 76 points. 75 points is enough to unlock specialization 3. And we want to go for the Falcon. We go for the Falcon, we pick up projectile damage jump, we go into chance to gain Falcons, and we want this. And basically, with the damage amp upon using movement skill is gonna mean that we want to spam movement speed abilities as much as possible, because 30% damage amp is a lot. And that's the main reason we want to go into this one. It's an early power spike that is not that expensive. Plus, it gives us movement skill rune max use count, so we can spam those movement abilities almost permanently. With that, we have a few points left. Let's go for some potion effect in trait 9. We want to also pick up some cold damage, as Ice Crystal Arrow has some damage amp against frozen enemies. With that, we're gonna enable that part of skill tooltip. We only have 6 points left, as 4 points are meant for specializations. What I'm gonna do, so we invest those pretty easy. We want to have basically this. Power of Harmony for strength, dexterity, and intelligence. You should be able to do this by default. With that, we have 5 points left, and those 5 points can go into more freeze rate. So we could freeze enemies more often. For charm affixes, on those Hamal, Caster, and Lewa charms, we want to have critical rate, critical damage, and maximize damage multiplier. This is basically the best in slot charm. Those are not gonna come often. So we want to focus at least on 2, critical rate and critical damage multiplier. The third one doesn't have to be maximized. It can be something like damage multiplier, HP multiplier, chaos resist, anything that helps you to improve your build. For the legendary prefix on those charms, we want to have 2, strike damage amplification and maximization chance. But in here, maximization chance is gonna give us much more damage. As when we are doing a critical build, by default, we are doing maximize build also. So legendary prefix maximization chance is the best. The second is strike damage amplification. For the relics, we want to start with the caster. On the passive side, pick up Sanctum effect. This basically is going to improve all of the buffs that we find on the maps, like swiftness, enhancement, expertise, and so on. Later, if you are stacking 500 strength, you can switch to enhanced strength. But basically, Sanctum effect is really good to have. On the active, we want to go for sensory stimulation, for physical damage amplification basically. And in here, we want to pick up cooldown recovery speed for the link and increase buff effect. On the second, we can either go defensive or offensive. I'm gonna pick up defensive option, which is Sabda. On the Sabda, we want to pick up enhanced chaos resist. On the offensive option, on this picker, we want to go and pick up powerful damage. Also, if you don't have 10 earth energies, we can pick up enhanced earth energy. It's also gonna be a nice damage increase. On the last one is gonna be Boreal by default, because Boreal gives HP, and this can only be level 15, so we don't have any of the choices. For a maximized build, we need to do a few changes. So the first one would be that we want to have Band of Certainty unique ring. Without that one, the maximized build doesn't work. We want to switch critical chance for Seal of Persistence. And on the Zodiacs, we want to go and switch Elaborate Attack to Distorted Senses. Charms for the maximized build are different. The blessings are the same. We have Hamal, Lewa, and Castor. The charm affixes are maximized damage and damage multiplier with damage when two-handed weapon is equipped. This is best in slot charm. If you can get a charm with a damage when two-handed weapon is equipped, it's fine. You can look for HP multipliers, even chaos or elemental resistances. Whichever option that works for you. For the legendary prefix, only strike damage amplification is going to work. Maximization chance we don't scale as much. So strike damage amp is the only and the best option to have. For the later skill board, on a critical build, physical convert, we want to have this. Ice Crystal Arrow, Awaken to Source. Source Awakening is basically more multi-target damage. If you're looking for more single target damage, you can awaken to Verity. But the problem is, you can't have 2 Ice Crystal arrows on your skill board. So you will have to switch your skill board for single target awakening every single time you do a boss type of content, where you need more single target damage. With that in mind, I'm keeping the source one. The source awakening is basically default. You want to run that. For Shadow Archer, we have Origin Awakening. You can also go Verity. The damage difference is very minuscule. On Split, we want to go Verity, Mana Storm, Verity, and Strike, we want to go Source. We don't really have that many choices in here that we could switch Mana Storm and Strike. We could go for something like Elemental Damage Amplification, but that one is really low amount of damage amplification. Chain would be for more multi-target damage, but we don't lack that. So I would say Chain is definitely not a good option. Besides those, we could try to go for Projectile Deceleration, but it's gonna feel weird as most of the projectile speed is gonna be removed. We can also try to go for Harmony if you have mana issues or you don't cap your attack speed, as this one doesn't have negative effects. It increases the resource cost, but the resource cost should be manageable. Besides those, we don't really have a good choices in here. Marksman is awakened to Origin for extra enhance effect. It's linked with enhance effect and decrease duration. Just be careful, decrease duration might not be damage increase if you're doing this too early. It's also linked to totem activation when using enhance skill, and it procs Weaken Totem, which is awakened to Origin. Weaken Totem is basically damage taken increase on the enemies, so it's a buff for us. It's linked with Enhanced Totem awakened to Source, and Area Totem awakened to Source. Bulwark of Protection is awakened to Source. I also linked it with Vitality Recovery. Shadow Provocation awakened to Source. Shadow of Justice in here is as defense. It removes hard crowd control, and we are using that with buff activation upon crowd control, so it would work automatically. It's awakened to Verity, and it's linked with Hushed Shout and Lingering Shout. On Illusion Arrow, I have awakened it to Verity, even though it's not necessary. It's linked with Lower Armor awakened to Verity, and Center of Gravity awakened to Verity, and this is important as Center of Gravity is not gonna work all the way around. I have Seal of Striking awakened to Verity, but this one can also be Seal of Critical Chance if you don't have that much critical. Seal of Striking is only damage increase when you already cap your critical chance. Seal of Dodge is awakened to Verity, and Veil of Protection is as extra defensive layer. We want to use Wind Veil, and it's awakened to Source. For the Zodiacs, we'll have to do a few assumptions. So, first of all, let's go on to the specializations. On the first spec, we can spend those 2 extra points on projectile damage amplification. On this second spec, we kinda don't have any good choices in here. We don't have to spend these. We could go for Sharpness, but Sharpness is actually not that crazy good. But, just for the sake of it, I'm gonna keep it in here. With that in mind, we can start removing some of the Zodiacs and adding those points elsewhere. And the first would be this one, the lightning damage. We want to have this lightning damage on our weapon craft or Lacrima. With that in mind, we're gonna have 7 extra points. With those 7 extra points, we can do quite a few things. First of all, we can go and spend those for extra damage amplification. And that can be any. I'm gonna go for Hit Endurance. That leaves us with 2 extra points. Those 2 extra points on its own can't do much, but we can remove Power of Harmony, and at this point our stats should be much more heavily leaned towards the dexterity or strength. So with that in mind, we can get a little bit extra damage amplification compared to Power of Harmony. For the maximized build, it's still the same. We apply the same logic. We still need Band of Certainty for this to work. Instead of Seal of Striking or Seal of Critical Chance, we are using Seal of Persistence. The only additional benefit that we get is that we have better choices for the Link Runes. Instead of like running Mana Storm or Strike, we really want to have Smash. Smash is a really strong one for a maximized build. And instead of Strike, we can even go for Persistence, but I would say running Strike is a better option. On the Smash, we want to go Source Awakening. On the Persistence, we can go Verity Awakening. For the Zodiacs, don't forget to pick up the Distorted Senses, and remember that you want to have maximized charms. For the cold build, I'm gonna to simplify this one. I'm gonna make it short, and I'm gonna go straight to the point. Basically, if you want a cold build for the starter, you have to follow the same logic as on the physical critical build. The difference is that we don't need convert to physical, that means we have extra slot. Instead of that, we can pick up like Chain or any other link rune early that works for you. And at the same time, we don't want to extract Earth Energy, we want to extract Cold Energy. And this one, I'm only gonna do maximized, as doing Cold Ice Crystal Arrow makes more sense as a maximized build. And the main reason is that it comes from the cold energies themselves. And cold energies, when you generate those, they decrease your critical chance. And this critical chance decrease is not multiplier, it's flat amount. That means at 10 stacks of cold energy, it's going to decrease our critical chance by 40%, so by almost by half. So doing Ice Crystal Arrow Cold Critical is a really bad idea to begin with. Some people can get around it, there is a way to do it. But for a simple video like this, I'm not gonna get into this. I'm just gonna keep it simple. So this is a cold maximized build, which is much easier to do. We have Extract Cold Energy, and we also run Extract Energy Awaken it to Source. On this one, we also gonna tap into later build that benefits from energy, from all of the energies. So this is what we need. On the Extract Energy that is on our main skill rune, it has to be Awaken it to Source for +2 max energy count to negate the -2 energy count. At the same time, we want to have another Extract Energy on any other skill that is active, and that's gonna be Illusion Arrow. On this one, we want to pick up Origin Awakening for damage taken dampening per 1 energy possessed. I'm not gonna get too much into this, there is a separate video about that one, I'm gonna leave it in the description. But basically, we can have 2 Extract Energies, 1 Extract Energy for the damage, and another Extract Energy for defensive layer. With this, we have basically a maximized build. Of course, we are running Seal of Persistence, we have Band of Certainty, without Band of Certainty the maximized build doesn't work. And Beacon Totem, in this case, can be Awakened to Source for extra elemental damage when the totem is defeated. Everything else is exactly the same as on the physical. Let's go over Zodiacs. The main idea in here is that instead of physical damage, we want to pick up cold damage. I'm not gonna talk about those too much, I'm only gonna show them really quick. We want Twisted Element. As the logic is exactly the same, we are running basically the same Zodiacs. There is very minuscule amount of changes in here. I'm not showing the specialization. Specialization is exactly the same. The breakpoints for specialization is also the same. There is not much more about it. Power of Nature is a good choice. Again, Enhanced Potion. This is really nice. Specialization is the same. It's just that we don't want to pick up Sharpness. We go with this. And in here, we pick up exactly the same. So that would be the Zodiacs. Of course, this one's assume that you have lightning damage somewhere else. I didn't pick up lightning damage in here. If you don't have lightning damage source, additional lightning damage source, you want to go for that instead of picking up Power of Nature. On the charms, a few changes. We no longer scale from Hamal. We need to pick up Mirror City for cold damage. That means we go Mirror City, Level Castor. On the charm affixes themselves, as we are doing maximized build, this is again the best ones. We want to have Mirror City as a blessing. For relics, we want to start with Sebda for the chaos resistance, and basically on the active, we want to pick up Mental Stimulation for Elemental Lamp with cooldown recovery speed and buff effect. The second one can be either defensive or offensive. I'm gonna choose an offensive one, so that is Aquila. We want to go for enhanced skull penetration on the passive. The third one can be quite a few choices. I would say going for caster is not a bad idea. In here we can pick up Sanctum effect or strength multiplier if we want to tap into that 500 strength. For the last one, again, it's gonna be Boreal. This one gives HP. Weapon masteries are these: armor and accessory. Unique, there is only one that you need to worry about, but only for the cold build. If you're doing a physical build, the boots like Bone of the Wind doesn't work. The low tier boots gonna work for the physical build also, but the problem is this is only a damage multiplier. For the Transcendent Bones, we only can do this on a cold build, because this is a cold damage amplification. For gear crafting, I leave links in the description, but basically, for the weapon, if you are looking to do a critical build, you need a high critical base bow. If you're doing a maximized build, you need a low critical base bow. And again, remember to check the description, I leave a lot of useful information, but for now, is GG's, bye-byes, and see you in the next one.